All right, good afternoon and welcome to our Thursday, November 17th monthly briefing for our local partners. Just as a reminder, this month we are going to go back to recording these meetings so we can transcribe them and have some minutes to make sure that we're processing those for you correctly. A couple of announcements before we get started today. Just this past week, for those of you that had worked with Sarah Osborne, Sarah has departed us to take a job in the private sector. So we wish her well as she moves on to her new career. And then we're happy to announce the arrival of Patty Croker, who has joined our preparedness and response team. Those of you that have worked in public health for a while probably recognize Patty's name as she joins us from the National Regional Health Department. So just a reminder to make sure you're looking out for the notice for application for the Homeland Security Grant, as that will be kicking off here somewhere towards the end of the month. So we look forward to having those opportunities there for you. I wanted to take a minute and just provide you with a couple of snapshots so that you were aware of things that were going on here at HSEM. We continue to work down the recruitment and retention process to backfill vacancies within the group. If you know somebody that is looking for employment within emergency management and homeland security, please provide them the opportunity to go to newhampshire.gov and look at our various openings. So we thank you for that. Kudos to the staff here, and we hope you found it helpful. On the November 8th, we had a partial activation of the state EOC to support the Secretary of State's office and the Attorney General's office during the election. You know, as we all know, emergency management takes several different shapes, but one of the things we do really, really well is the planning piece and coordination piece. So we had an opportunity to work with both of those agencies and really pull together a good team and a good plan for the day to make sure we're providing support to the election process. Tomorrow, I'll actually have the privilege of being at the fiscal committee where we introduce the awards of the School Safe grants. This is the second distribution, and just so you're aware that we got, you know, probably, let me just pull the number here, 249 different schools will be receiving money across the state. So there's going to be approximately 335 projects, and that will be coming in just shy of about $9 million. So again, great opportunity by our school area to support the New Hampshire Ed group as they move forward. We've started an internal working group to start looking at the state hazard mitigation plan. As we prepare that document, they'll be working hard over the winter months to get ready for a March submission of a draft plan to FEMA. So we kind of roll forward from there. We're also dusting off and reinstituting the IA program in our mitigation and recovery area as we move forward with looking at hiring a person to fill that job and get that program up and running. And probably the last and probably the most important piece for this group is over the next few months, we will be reformatting and preparing to reintroduce our field services area. For those of you that remember, under the reorganization that started in April, there was some sunsetting to the field services group, and we're bringing that project back and going to provide a better conduit for communication directly to our local partners. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. And just off script here for just 1 second before I go to the section chiefs, I think it's only appropriate that we recognize today that last weekend FEMA lost the deputy administrator for Region 1, Paul Ford. Paul passed away over the weekend, and his funeral is actually today. So Paul was a great supporter of New Hampshire and a great supporter of the region, and had a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge that he will take with him. I can tell you in my chair over the last 10 weeks that Paul was a constant supporter and a constant advocate for what we do as a community here in New Hampshire. So he will sorely be missed. So section chief brief outs. I will turn to Dave Valancourt. Dave, if you can please give us an update on the REP program.
Sure. We're moving forward with our evacuation time estimate. We mentioned last time that it's completed. We're about a third of our way of our internal review, which is the reviews of all of the 1,400 maps, 76 traffic control points, and 41 access control points that go with that. We will be done the internal review and we'll be looking to reach out to our 17 communities in our 3 host facilities to start clarifying some of the questions that we've had in the mapping program. We've generously given Massachusetts back an access control point, and we're trying to reorganize some of the way we do mapping. The old ArcGIS, the existing maps, have gone to ArcPro, and they don't import very well into the new system, which are the aerial images. So we're working with 911 to get them done. So we'll be looking for your input in January. Our latest update, we just found out this morning, our Rochester reception graded exercise, which was October 12th. FEMA went into that reception center and evaluated 28 evaluation areas, and we did not have any level 1 or level 2 findings. This round, we didn't even have a planning issue, so we're pretty proud of that. Got an email this morning from our out of sequence facilities that we do along the EPZ. We did 18 of those facilities. FEMA evaluated those as well. And we got an email this morning that there were no findings, but we're waiting for the final report on that. And just a thought, our next summit we're planning to have in April, and we are looking for one of those 17 EPZ communities to host that. So if there's anybody on the call that would like to host that next meeting, just let us know. Last thing, we have taken over Massachusetts Radiological Instrumentation Maintenance and Calibration Facility. We've done their first quarter, and it went out without a hitch. So we'll be doing all 4 quarters with them. And usually the first quarter is the toughest, but we made all those exchanges, and things are well. So we're in the process of starting our second quarter. So we will be doing all of that equipment starting now. And that's all I have, Director.
Thank you, Dave. Mitigation and recovery, Vanessa Urango.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. So on the recovery side of the house, the public assistance team continues to work through our 7 open disasters that we have in New Hampshire. So for the COVID disaster specifically, the December 31st deadline is fast approaching for applicants to submit all of their projects to FEMA that have eligible costs between January 20th of 2020 and July 1st of 2022. So we ask all of our municipalities, if you have not yet been in contact with us, please reach out to our team. We can be reached via email at dos.nhpa@dos.nh.gov. I'll drop that in the chat in a minute for all the folks who are on Teams. And then you can also call our main line 271-2231 and ask to talk to a member of the Public Assistance COVID team. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have or talk to you if your municipality needs an extension for this deadline. FEMA will consider extensions for applicants under specific circumstances for this. FEMA has also recently agreed to deploy some trained staff to the state to assist with project development ahead of this deadline. So we're very grateful for that help, and we anticipate then hopefully arriving sometime near the end of November. For the July and August 2021 flooding disasters, the team continues to develop projects and send them to FEMA for review. FEMA has officially closed the Joint Field Office, or JFO, which some of you may have heard of, but part of that core FEMA team has actually remained deployed in New Hampshire to support the recovery process and help us maintain continuity. So the folks on the other end of this call won't see any changes, but just for situational awareness that has technically closed. On the mitigation side of the house, a reminder that the application period is still open for HMGP, so the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, and for BRIC, the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Community Grant Program. For HMGP, an email will be going out by the end of this week announcing an extension to the application period for HMGP 4516. That deadline has been extended to December 31st, 2022, so December 31st of this year. And then additionally, we really strongly recommend municipalities to apply for the BRIC 22 program. We received double the amount of state allocation funding this year. Previously, it was 1 million, and this year we got 2 million. So that is non-competitive funding, meaning New Hampshire only gets that money. We're not competing with other states. This is separate from the national competition. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to our mitigation team at nh.hm@dos.nh.gov. I'll drop that in the chat as well. Or call the main line and ask to speak with a member of our mitigation staff. And lastly, just wanted to say that our new hazard mitigation planner has officially completed their one-on-one training with FEMA, and they are working on reviewing a series of local hazard mitigation plans that have come in within the last few months. So we appreciate your patience while we catch up on that. And if you need us, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks all.
Thank you, Vanessa. Preparedness and response, Bob Christensen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Some exciting stuff to share with you. We just came back from a couple days down in Worcester, working with our counterparts from around New England and in a group called the New England Exercise Training Officers Group. And therein, we spoke about a lot of exercise and training needs, really on behalf of local towns, responders, and it's phenomenal information and all stuff that will help as we serve you. As we communicate, the other great thing about that is really seeing some of the other resources we can bring to bear. For instance, we were just down in Stratham at an exercise, and some of the Maine folks came down and assisted us. So lots of opportunities ahead, even as we look to different size exercises in our communities that we can really tap into some subject matter experts. So that's really good. One of the things we continue to do that I'd like to really make sure you're aware of, we continue to work with houses of worship and faith communities relative to emergency preparedness. I will tell you that both in, I'll say classified as well as unclassified stuff, that threats continue to happen around our country, stuff you see in the news and stuff you're not seeing in the news. So if you have, again, it's just a place of assembly. Forget what they're doing or why they're there. It's a place of assembly, and we would love to come alongside of you and serve your community relative to helping emergency preparedness. We've got a presentation that we do. We have tabletop exercises. Certainly reach out to me if you would like to hear more about that. Relative to exercises and training, you've heard me talk about before, and we continue to put wind in the sail of all hazards, all New Hampshire. We are very pleased and would love to come alongside of you. Everything from a discussion-based event to action plan workshop, all the way up to full-scale exercises and kind of work alongside of you. We are developing what many of you will have known from previously called a multi-year training and exercise plan. So we're very serious about making sure that we have each of the aspects of the Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program exercises on there, but I emphasize all hazards, all New Hampshire. We know active threat is right in front of us all the time, but we also know that, and especially those of you that are responders know more than me relative to what can happen in your communities. And we're very pleased to come alongside of you and serve you and support you with training and exercises. So then a couple other related then. So training, you just might have a need and not even know that there's a class that could address that need. Richard Cloutier, who is our state training officer here, he is amazing relative to what he knows, what's out there. We will work very hard to find you the training that you want. Just have a need and talk to us. Again, Rich Cloutier, and if we can anyway make it happen, we'll make it happen on your behalf. All we ask is that, if we're going to bring in, especially the providers coming in from out of state, we have minimum thresholds relative to seats, and we'll work with you, but really ask that you work with your peer towns around you. And we're all about serving rural communities. Believe me, that's a passion of mine. So you're not on the back burner, you're on the front burner, and relative to meeting your needs. But we can use some help putting people in seats. WebEOC, as you know, is a very important item when it comes to disasters happening, but in day out, you have events happening, 4th of July activity, whatever it may be. So Neil Canton is our WebEOC trainer, and we are very pleased, again, to come up on site. You have 3 or 4 people from your emergency operations center. That's perfect. we're very pleased to come up, whatever, day, night, weekend, whatever it is, we'll be there to help your staff. And then speaking of which, and finally, we are in the throes of putting the initial finishing touches on what a class called G191, that is ICS EOC interface. It's a great class. It's really important because it'll allow you and your staff in and around your emergency operations center to get some training. Those of you that are responders, you understand it, you get the ICS, but there's a lot of people that you would bring in into your EOC, and this is training that specifically goes right after equipping them. So again, anyone who needs assistance, training, and exercises, my name is Bob Christensen. I'm pleased to help you if I can.
Thank you, Bob. So as we've been doing for the last several months, we're going to provide a brief out on a training opportunity here for you. So today I have the privilege to introduce Susan Clausen, who's the administrator of the Department of Transportation Management Center. Susan is going to explain more to us about the TMC's role and how they fulfill everyday and emergency management needs across the state and local for the state and local transportation. So I'm going to turn the call over to Susan, and then after Susan's presentation, we will go on to our question and answer period. So Susan, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Are you seeing the presentation, I hope?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. So I'm Susan Clausen. I work with New Hampshire Department of Transportation. First of all, Bob, or whoever organized this, thank you for reaching out to us. Just listening to some of your introduction, I can really see how we might overlap in a lot of our work and be able to help each other out. We are located in the IPOC, the same place as Homeland Security, but we are a unique part of Department of Transportation. So if I can get this to work. Okay. So most people, when they think about Department of Transportation, you think about the people out plowing the roads, paving the roads, fixing the guardrail, designing big roadway projects. So we are a unique little bureau, and we are really focused on technology and using the existing infrastructure that we have to help commuters and the traveling public get through to their destination faster. So we talk a lot. So here I can just quickly go through these. Our goals: enhance mobility and safety. We work a lot with state police, improving response time for DOT assistance. The meat of what we do is a 24/7, 365, I'll say, dispatch center that's co-located with state police headquarters. So we have the front 2 rows, they have the back 2 rows, and we are in constant communication if there's anything that's on our roadway network. And our goal is to get DOT assistance out there as quickly as possible. If possible, if we have a camera or whatever we might have out there, pull it up to help with the incident response. So we have the way we operate our system is we're kind of divided into these several different objectives. And don't worry, I'm not going to go through them all. I'm going to focus some on winter maintenance and just our operations. But we do a lot of work zone management, traffic incident management. That's how we work with your groups a lot. Special event management. If you guys are working through parades in your communities, you often have to do what they call as a parade permit. And that's just to help us better understand what might be happening on those state roadways and then message it out to the public as needed. So some of you may be involved in that. We provide travel information. I'll get more into some of the newer stuff. We have 37 traffic signals that come right back into our TMC right now at the IPOC and come right into our traffic management center that we can control through here. There's 450 state signals. And we have just in the last month started bringing them online, and we're just of this morning up to 37. So when there is an incident at a signal, depending on where it is and if it's brought back in, we'll be able to look at those from here instead of having to send one of our signal technicians out, which will just help get the response time to the communities faster. We'll talk about dynamic hard shoulder running and probably what some of you are interested in, the road weather management. So DOT is a 1,800 person organization. We are a very small bureau that actually touches every other bureau and within the department. So we have full-time is our orange filled. These blue is our part-time filled. And then we have some vacant full-time, which is this green. And then we have a lot of vacant part-time. So on this side of the house is our 24/7 transportation management center, kind of our operators, our dispatchers that we'll talk about. So as you can see, we don't have that many. So again, I heard somebody else saying, if you know somebody who's interested, we do have some part-time positions as well. And sometimes we tend to get retired military or retired from a police organization or somebody that might have some dispatching experience. So our bureau is broken into 4 sections. We'll focus on the operations. But the TSMO Bureau, we aren't building roads. We are installing cameras. We're installing message boards. We're looking at connected vehicle technology. So we have a small group of engineering that we, for example, on 293 in Manchester, right? We just had a project that went through there that put some cameras and message boards up. We have a group that does that engineering design. Then we have a group that works on our communication and maintenance. So the communication and maintenance group, they're actually responsible for, we have fiber, wireless communication. All of DOT's vehicles have radios in them. Our bureau does the maintenance of all of those radios. And we also have embedded IT support here. Because we're very technology focused, we have 3 state IT people that sit in this building that get to see me every day. So anything technology related for the department comes through us. But for you all, this first picture up here is what I was calling our TMC, our Transportation Management Center. So again, this is sort of the front 2 rows. The back 2 rows is where State Police Headquarters is located. Oh, here's a little bit of a better picture. So this picture here shows, this is what we call our barcode wall. It's an 18 by 30 wall. We have about 150 cameras along the roadside that are constantly rotating in a feed up here. We have the weather on all the time, and then we have local news on all the time. And then this green bar, that's a little bit hard to see. Those are specific corridors that it's sort of like, I don't know if you use Google Maps, but it has like the red, yellow, green speeds. So actually what will often happen is something will change yellow or red, which means there was a slowdown in that specific corridor. And we will quickly call back behind us to state police, and they will either just be getting the crash or maybe not yet have received the crash notification. So we are able to, if we can, pull it up on our cameras, help state police determine exactly where it's located, call out DOT field crews if needed to help with traffic control. And then we can watch when that clears to help measure our clearance time for incidents. So here's just a picture of an operator. They communicate from the TMC to all of the message boards that you'll see along the highway, all of the cameras, all of the state radios. And all of this is done. So if we have an incident that, like this morning, right, there was an incident on 293 South, we had a crash in Manchester. We put that information in, we get that from state police, we put it into our system. Our system pushes it out to Waze and to Google for any of you who are Wazers. Our system also pushes it out to what we call Pro Miles. Pro Miles is our oversized, overweight permitting. So if you ever have had to get a permit through DOT, or a trucking company who has, when we put an event in, it gets pushed to that permitting system. So then the trucker is notified if there's a height, weight, width, or speed restriction, and they would be rerouted as needed. Every phone call, every radio transmission is all entered into this system in what we call our dispatch log. So if you know of an event on a state roadway, you should see it in Waze. And if you do, you know it's come from our operators here. They enter it into an event management screen, and then it pushes out to Waze, and also we have a public site that I will show you. This is just our log. Okay, we have all of our message boards. I think we have, I'll get to that, 60 something message boards along the highway. So a lot of times you'll see during storm, yesterday, winter storm cleanup, or the day before, prepare for storm on Wednesday, all of that gets programmed through here. So I know for some of the municipalities, you may have something going on the state roadway that you are managing. And if there is a message board out there to help you to either get, tell them right lane closed ahead, slow traffic ahead, incident ahead, anything like that, you give us a call and we can program that instantaneously through our software. And I think that's something that we want to work more closely with some of the municipalities with. Some of the municipalities call us frequently, Route 4 is closed for a crash. We have a message board out there. We're able to get DOT assistance out there. But if we don't know about it, we can't dispatch anybody out there to help if needed. When we do put something out in our system, and this is our public facing site. So when we enter something into our internal system, we have a public facing site called newengland511.org. And what I want to do is not that, is this. So the public facing site, newengland511.org. If you have time, I highly suggest you to take a quick peek at this. We used to have an old site. This site was just replaced in September. What I really like about it, and one of the things that you might like about it, is when you go in, and you can create an account if you want, or you can just go in as a general user. You can go here under traffic, and you can go here under cameras. And this is a tri-state system, so Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. So for me, I'm usually just looking at New Hampshire. Sometimes I'm looking at Maine and Vermont as well to see how the weather is moving. But in New Hampshire, these are live snapshot images of what's happening along the roadways in New Hampshire. You can filter it by roadway if you would like. So this morning when we had the incident on 293, it was shown here. So this is, again, a public view you can get from anywhere. It is mobile friendly. You could also see, if you were interested, what we have on our message boards at any point in time. So in 89 South, there must be some road work happening. We have a message board that says that. So a lot of times our foreman will look at this to, hey, I have a message board in the area. I want to post it right lane closed, or, black ice possible, slow down. So this is how the public could see what was posted on here and you. So I think I've totally jumped off script, but that's okay. Somebody else wrote this presentation for me. So one of the other things about this public facing site that you should be aware of is driving conditions. So the 3 states, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and actually it's a federal law that all states do this, but Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont do it together. We have driving conditions. So during winter weather, you could see what the driving conditions are. In New Hampshire, we do it based on DOT district. So up in the northern part of New Hampshire right now, we have driving conditions fair. That means you are going to see some snow on the road, but not much impact to travel. Yesterday, we had this as difficult, and you will see these change throughout winter storms. The other thing on here that you might be interested in, let me get rid of my message boards, but I'll do road weather stations. So here, if you're wondering what the roadway conditions are in, I don't know, wherever this one is here, Canterbury on 93 North, There's an ARWIS station, a road weather information station in Canterbury. It's up at the Canterbury Rest area. This will tell you exactly what the roadway weather conditions are right now. There's your surface temp, there's your air temp. So these are not everywhere. So, but what is nice is if you're sort of wondering, you know, what's happening in your general region, we have a slew of these scattered across the state and even some over here. So you can get a sort of a type of what that pavement temp might be, or the wind temp, the wind speed. So, but this site in general, if you're interested and you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. You can sign up for what we call My 511 right here. So let me, how do I do this? There we go. So My 511, if you were to wanting to have like text messages or emails when something happened on a roadway, a state roadway through your area, you can sign up for My 511. And you select different types of events, notification types. You can go through the screen. You can do it by email or by text message. And for example, in Nashua, this was a message that Nicholas King got because he had signed up for Nashua Everett southbound and the road was closed at that time. So when we put in the event in our back end of our system, he got a text message on his phone that showed him that. And when that roadway cleared and was open to public, he would get another text message that said, okay, now the roadway is open. So one thing I really would like to stress is if you have an incident on a state road, please notify us because by federal law, we are required to report that to the public. And the way we do it is through this system. So even if DOT is not needing assistance, if you don't need DOT's assistance, we still need to know. Because again, depending on your region, we either have 10 minutes or 20 minutes to tell the public, and that is a federal law. The way we do it is through this notification process, or if we have a message board there, we will, or Twitter. And we can talk more about that after if you have questions. Every month, we go through what we do on the TMC floor. So, you know, what was the September, right? We had 129 unplanned incidents. That means 129 things came in that were not construction, that were something unplanned, most likely a crash. Planned incidents, we had 438 impacts to traffic due to construction events. We had 4,000 calls and so on and so forth. And every month, and these are posted on our public page, which I will show you. In the winter months, and usually in the winter, but if we have a storm in any time of year, we open what we call a storm desk. So for this time of year, the storm desk is responsible to be the single point of contact for our public information office and our media for what's happening and what DOT is doing relative to winter maintenance. And so every hour we send certain individuals, whoever, basically most people who want it, we send some to some Homeland Security, the governor's office, our directors, and maybe there's municipalities on this list, I'm not sure, but we could add you. We send what each of the department districts, what their driving conditions are, if they have reduced speeds, what their message boards say on the side of the road, if we have any active crashes or incidents on a state roadway, if there is any restrictions to travel, and state police tells us every hour how many crashes they have responded to. So this really gives our executive office and others, what's the intensity of the storm? How much are we having to how much impact is this having to the public? Sometimes we'll send out and there's 0 active incidents. Sometimes we send it out and there's an entire page full. So that helps our maintenance staff understand what's happening on the roadways where they can't be everywhere all of the time. And then at the end of the storm event, we send a summary of everything that happened that DOT was involved in during that storm. So this just goes through everything that when message boards were, when we changed, and then how quickly DOT responded. When did they get called out? How did they get called out? So all of that information is captured and logged through us at the TSMO Bureau. The way we respond to winter storms physically in the field is based on our snow removal and ice control policy. So the department has an approved snow removal and ice control policy. What I will tell you, this chart is critical. A interstate is a 1A. Our policy says we could actually have up to 3 inches of snow on the interstate, and we would still be meeting our policy. Okay, on unnumbered state routes, you could have 7 inches of snow, and we would still be meeting our policy. 3.5 is the average. But this is a very important document for people to understand. We have a policy that we adhere to for winter maintenance through the department. In years past, we've exceeded that policy. Just like everyone else, and you've heard it, we're short drivers just like most people are. So we are sort of going through that balancing act of, are we going to plow the entire interstate? Or are we going to leave one lane not plowed? It will really depend on how that all plays out this winter. As you may or may not know, we have an incentive program where we've actually brought people on from other state agencies to assist the department in snow removal operations this year. One of the tools that the department uses to help determine when a plowed foreman needs to call in his crews, or is it black ice? And I showed you this quickly on the 511 site, but this is the software that runs the road weather information system. This software gives us at a very specific point the air temperature, dew point, visibility, grip, surface date, surface temp, and images. This grip here is the friction of the pavement. On a very nice day, you're riding up here at 0.82. That's this line right here. You have dry pavement, you're good to go. All right? On a not so nice day, your grip is going all over the place. See this? You're up here at, almost 0.8, and now you're dropped down here to 0.25. That is a sheet of ice. This grip, and you can see, a plow must have come through, salted. Well, now we're back up again. And then you can watch it go, depending on traffic, depending on plows. This is a very critical tool that the department uses. The foremen have alerts on their phones that they can set up for when the pavement temperature drops to a point, when the grip drops, when the air temp drops, when it starts to snow. They can set up parameters in the software and then receive messages on their phone, text or email, that say, okay, we just went, the pavement temp just dropped. And then they know, all right, so usually when that happens, I have about an hour, so I better start calling in my crews. This grip factor is key to us in making our decisions. However, we do not publicize the grip factor, one, because it is a small little section of the roadway that is from a sensor. It is, when you look at all of them holistically, it provides you a general sense of what's happening out there. But if it's dry and a tractor trailer comes by and didn't clean off the top of their trailer, and all the snow falls, well, now you're just going to see a huge grip drop, and you're going to see a snow-covered roadway, and it might just be right there. So we use this as a tool in our toolbox. It's not the only thing that we do. One of the newer initiatives for the department is AVLs. We're putting some AVLs, automatic vehicle locators, in our plows. And in the past, we had very clear, you know, this person's plow beat was this plow beat and he never deviated from this plow beat. And this person's plow beat was here and we never deviated. So what we're looking at, and we're going to be doing an enhancing route management, looking at sort of that dynamic plowing. We are not ready for that this winter, but it is something that we're talking about. If we need this driver to go over here a little bit because this one's, you know, too far away, they might deviate from their traditional plow beat. And then when you are in the field, you will see on our message boards, you know, different messages during the winter. We have an approved message library that we use with state police and DOT. And if you, as a responder, have a message board, a state message board in your area, we should have that conversation about if you would like us to change that message. And we can talk through what that might look like. We are very strict about what we put on our message boards as far as content. A lot of our funding is federal funding. We do not put jokes on our message boards. We follow the federal guidelines very closely, even though you may see some of our counterparts don't do that. We just have a different way of doing that. And then two more things. If you were to go, if you want to learn more, New Hampshire, NHTMC.com. This is our website. This will take you to that 511 page. We have a Twitter. This will take you to some construction areas. There's a lot of information here. One of the things that is interesting, to me anyway, is this TMC operations, which is right here. When you open that and you go to October, we do a public-facing monthly report that talks about what did we do for that month. So first, this will tell you, okay, we have 144 cameras, we have 57 message boards, we have 38 of those weather stations, we have 21 variable speed limits, and we have 39 of these devices that collect speed and traffic volume. And it tells you, we looked at this earlier, what we did that month. It just sort of goes through more detail of how we kind of what our operators have done in the last month. And this is really helpful for me because being sort of short-staffed, I can look at, okay, you know what, normally this day of the week and this hour, we're seeing more calls. I'm going to shift this person over here. And we have to sometimes move people around based on our call and incident volume. And then again, here's our public 511 site. And if anyone is interested in it, just sign up. You can go to it and sign up. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Let me see, what else was I supposed to say? If you have incidents along state roadways, please make sure you call us, 271-6TMC. And if you are interested in learning kind of more what we do and coming to visit us at the IPOC, we're co-located with State Police Headquarters. We love to do tours. So we would love it if anyone wanted to come in, look around, see what we do, look at our cameras. We also have a first responders camera feed. So if I think a lot of you looking at some of the names on here, a lot of your municipalities already have access to that. So we have a secure login. So first responders can look at all of the cameras, no matter if we've blocked it out to the public, or you'll have full access to viewing the cameras. So if anyone doesn't have it or can't remember their credentials, you can always let me know and we can reset those credentials for you. So that was so fast. Okay, did I meet my limit? I think I had 10 minutes or something.
Susan,
What do you
I
got?
wanted to Susan, I wanted to take a minute and thank you for the opportunity today. Obviously, this division has a wealth of not only knowledge, but technological capabilities for the state, and certainly a partner for who we are and what we do. So again, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, we really like it. And we like working with your staff. So that's always fun.
Great. Great. Well, as we round out the hour here, I'm going to ask Vanessa Pelanger to queue up any questions that you may have, and we'll get those answered for you. Vanessa?
Good afternoon, everyone. So if you have any questions, if you are on Teams, you can just raise your hand and I can find you and unmute you. If you are on the phone, press *5 to raise your hand and press *6 to unmute yourself. I also did put both the links and the phone number in the chat that Susan mentioned this afternoon. And Susan, there is one question in the chat right now. Do public works fit in the first responder category for access to information? And how can communities, public works, highway agencies work with the TMC for special events, emergencies, etc., and communicate?
So yes, I would, I'm not sure who put that in, but yes, I think we could have that conversation about where public works fit into that. Depending on what that role is, that's something that we can definitely work through. So reach out to me and we can talk about that. The work for TMC for special events. Oh, please do. If you have, call me or Nick King. If you have a special event coming up, and I know, and I'm not sure who's on here, but we have some special events that are on local roads that impact the state road and even back up on ramps on the highway. We would much rather work with you ahead of time. We have message boards we can roll out for you. We have cameras we can roll out. Like, let's work through that process together. So that would be reaching out to myself or Nicholas King, and I will put his, well, our email, our phone number, I'll put in the chat. It's 603-271 6TMC or 6862. Oh, and I see that was from Keene. Okay, yes, I will ask Nicholas King to reach out to you to have more of a conversation about that. But that's why when Bob mentioned this to me, I was like, I would love to work more with the municipalities ahead of time instead of during an event or after an event when both sides are frustrated. So yeah, Kurt, Nick King will reach out to you. Definitely. And we can push that out to the public through Waze or whatever you want. Definitely. Anybody have anything else?
I'm not seeing any other questions, and I do not see any hands raised at this time.
So is anyone going to come do a tour? If anyone wants to do a tour, call us.
All right.
All right.
I thank everybody for their, yep. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
I thank everybody for their time this afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you next month. And our next call should be December 15th. So we'll be right before the Christmas holiday. So thank you for your time this afternoon. I hope you found this informative. Thank you.